because we were religious, we didn't really talk about it at our house much. I remember when, like, my sex ed lesson was my mom taking me to the library and be like, "Here's a few books, enjoy." Right away, you could see red flag of a lie because who watches a movie for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Sorry, but no movie in the like, we're going back to 2-hour movies, okay? So, if I'm gonna come out and watch a movie, then I'm gonna be there for another 2 hours, and then I don't get to
Right.
go to sleep before midnight, so no thanks. You're adults. I can
Yeah.
say no to you. You can say no to me. It's just,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to your own personal space,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of guts sometimes. It's not always the most comfortable, but I always tell myself you could do hard things. So
welcome to the space where we tell our truth. Testimony, healing, breaking shame loose. Learning our bodies and walking by faith. Intimacy God's way, right here is the place. Sex ed for saints. Mondays at 6. We believe in the power of the story. Not just pain, but redemption and glory. Faith in the rhythm, hearts in the mix. Trust in educators. Mondays at 6. We're overcoming by the word of these testimonies. People getting free when we speak what's holy. Healing in our hearts, shame starts to split. Every story told, another chain gets stripped. Learning our bodies, learning His way. Intimacy and faith, walking day by day. This is where we heal, where the truth sticks. Sex ed for saints. Mondays at 6.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. I am so excited because I have my girl, Elisabeth, on the stream. Listen, y'all, when I tell you, when I was thinking about podcast episodes that I could do, I was thinking about, there was a time in my life where I was abstaining from sex for 10 years. And when I tell you that was a struggle, it was a struggle. And I know a lot of people are struggling out there. And I know a lot of people are actually waiting. And one of the beautiful things about Elizabeth is that she is one of them. She is one of those who has decided to wait until marriage. And I'm excited to get into her story so that we can learn about all the things, the tools that she uses to help her to stay focused and all of the good stuff. And so, welcome, Elizabeth, to the show. Welcome.
hello, hello. um, I am excited to be here. It's a little bit of like, oh, this is an interesting subject to talk about on the internet, but I'm a very open book, so I'm excited to talk about
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm excited too. So listen, y'all, before we get into the conversation, on my platform, I usually ask my guests to send in anonymous questions about, anything. So they ask me whatever. And what I try to do is pull from the questions that they ask and now answer them on my podcast. So if you ever have a question that you want answered, you want it to be anonymous, go to the Marriage Lab LLC, and on there, there is a link where you can ask your anonymous questions and we will answer them on the podcast. And so for today, I'm pulling a question. Let me see what someone has said. Let's see. I love God and I'm doing my best to honor Him, but I still feel sexual desire. Late at night when I'm alone, those feelings don't just disappear. I start wondering if these desires mean I'm failing God, or not being faithful enough.
That's really hard, and like I'm no expert, of course,
Yeah.
but I mean I have the same thing.
Hmm.
The nighttime, I feel like that is the biggest struggle. I don't know if it's the darkness or anything like that, but I think it's just like at a moment you're like, no one's awake right now. I'm alone. Then certain things pick up a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
for me, if I find that I'm really like struggling more, I try to distract myself.
Mhm.
I have a tablet, I have a phone. So I'm one of those bad people. They are by my bed. So I'm usually, okay, I'm going to go pick my favorite YouTube video or something that I know I'll get into that could distract myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing is I've never had sex. So
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Other people. I think for myself, I'm easier. I could like, okay, mind swipe differently. But if you're
Yeah.
coming from a place where you've already had it, but now you're trying to hold back, I
Yeah.
think that you maybe have a little more struggle than I do in that sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully distraction could be your best friend, just like it is mine.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good way to distract yourself. Listen, I was one of those people who had experienced a lot of sex. Okay. And so when I had those moments, I was like, Lord, what am I gonna do here? But one of the good things for me is that I had accountability. And so I had friends that I could call at any time of day. And there was one in particular that if I needed her, I would call on her and she would answer, because we were kind of like in the same seasons of our life most of the time. And so it was important to have that. But what a lot of people don't really understand is, sexual desire, it's normal. Like, it's a normal physiological response driven by the hormones that we have. And so having them does not mean that you are failing in God. It just means that you are human, right? You are experiencing some real life human things, and that is okay. It's good to have those desires because it lets you know that God is thinking about you. It lets you also know that you want a relationship at some point in your life. It keeps you alive, and that's what draws you to other people, right? And so you want to make sure that you just steward them well. So prayer, worship, all of the things, accountability, these things are helpful to help you to stay focused so that are not feeling like you're failing. And another thing that I wanted to mention too is, when it comes to intimacy and desire and things like that, God has the ability to allow us to do things like worship, right? I was doing research one day, and I came across an article that talked about the dopamines and the oxytocins and the things like that our body responds to, right? That bonds us to people, that allows us to give us pleasure. And so research shows that when you are in worship, those same hormones are released, right? Which is fascinating, because that means that you are actually connecting and bonding to God in the way that you are desiring someone, and he then fulfills us, right? And so I just wanted to stress that worshiping and prayer and all of that is very important to all of that. But anyway, enough of that. But let's get into you, Elisabeth. Let's get into you. Before we get into the conversation, I know waiting could not have been easy, right? Even though you haven't experienced sex before, that doesn't mean that it's less easy. So before we get into the conversations, I want to learn a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I consider myself very multi-passionate. I grew up homeschooled, so I was very quick to like take on lots of different things. I thought at 12-year-old I could write a book. So I got really into writing books, and normally romance novels, mind you. And then I really got into doula work. So I support women from fertility to menopause and pretty much everything in between. And I just love women's health. So I'm really, really passionate about that. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm a preschool teacher part-time. So then I'm dealing with all the little kids. So I keep myself very busy that, distraction. I guess that's my only really tip for life. keep, keep your idle hands are not good, right? What's that saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
That's good. That's good. It's interesting that you do doula work. How is
Yes.
that for you? I'm just curious.
I love it. I love helping women, especially like through the birth, the labor. I love when I talk fertility, like when you talk about oxytocin, I'm like, okay, I love this. I'm like nerding out here. I'm like, yeah, because it's the love hormone.
Mhm.
So I'm very passionate about all the things that are going on with our body, especially for females. I find us very mysterious. There's a
Mhm.
lot going on. Our healthcare systems don't know enough about us. We don't even know enough about ourselves. So I find it very fascinating.
That's interesting because you are in an environment where you get to see miracles of God every single day, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what season of your life, like, would you consider yourself in now, like emotionally, spiritually, relationally?
Well, relationally, I've been on the dating scene, but it's not the greatest. There's not that many good options. I'm sorry, people on the internet, but sometimes the options are limited. Trying to think, like, I mean, so far in the past 5 years, I would say from 2020 to 2025, I've been really having it on my heart that I wanted to get married for quite a long time, that I was looking for someone that could be my other half a little bit. And then the past, I would say half a year, 6 months, 7 months, I've really been putting more into my doula work, that I've been feeling more of a call that I kind of really have to get like more people, like, and I live in a very rural area, so not many people know what a doula is. And so I've been very called to like, okay, kind of let the idea of marriage go for right now and focus on this. So I'm really trying to lean into that, which is really hard because I've always had a thought Like my mother had me when she was like 37, 38, and I was just like, why do you wait? Why do you be so, I was so rude to my mother. I hope she forgives me. But I was like, you were so old. You should have had me sooner. And now that I'm like 25 and I'll be turning 26 this year, I'm like, I think I may be following in your footsteps, mom. I'm like, I don't see it happening because I always thought it would be in my 20s, but I'm seeing things change. I'm getting a different feeling. So I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful actually. I'm with your mother. Listen, I had my first daughter when I was 20 years old, right?
Okay.
And I was a single mother for 14 years. She was almost an adult. She was 4 years away from being an adult. And then I got married. I was 33 when I got married. And then I started having more kids. I have two other kids, 6 and 7 now. But I always thought that I would get married in my 20s, but reality hit and life got busy. And then I got focused and I was like, no, I got to go after God and I got to go after these things and make sure that I'm fulfilling myself. But I'm glad that I waited that age, because if I had gotten married in my 20s, I didn't have the right mentality. I probably would have been divorced. Like I was too independent. I was too all of these things that I know that I would have not been a good wife to anybody. But sometimes, waiting is good. Waiting is good. And your time is coming, girl. It's coming.
I know. Well, I had a boyfriend in 2020, and like, with COVID and everything like that. And he would always sneak to our house anyway. But like with that relationship, I was really like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get married, have a whole bunch of kids, and stay at home. I was homeschooled, so I kind of really want to do that for my future children. But then as I've like looked past when we broke up and how things changed, I was like, I'm so glad that that ended that way. Like I was at that time really upset about it, but I was like, no, because in the end, I don't know if that's what God was calling for me. Because at that time, I really wanted a large family, and I am, like you said, very independent. I'm a very much of a kind of a go 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 person. So homeschooling wouldn't be right now like a huge desire for me either. Because I'm like, I don't really want to be home. I'd like to go do this and that. So I feel like God has always his own timing. And that's why there's that saying, right? Like you make a plan, God's laughing.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not what I got planned for you. So it's definitely that's the struggle of realizing your plans are all but a futile laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Elizabeth said she wanted to be outside.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how much even 5 years can change of things a little
Yeah,
bit. So
for
and
sure.
I feel like I have a very good ability kind of to listen to what I mean, I'm not perfect, but just being able to hear a little bit. And so right now I know that it's not really my time yet either. So just
Mhm.
kind of trying to stay strong.
Girl, you doing it. You are staying strong.
Thank you.
And then since we're talking about this, tell us a little bit about the relationship that you have with God.
Well, I've gone to church my entire life. I've pretty much been a cradle Catholic since I was younger. I My prayer is not the best. I find I do better when, like, if I'm driving alone to work or something, and then I just talk and I just know he's listening. Um, I have a very hard time myself with quiet. So,
Mm.
the fact that he can't really talk back to me too much in other words like you can is not my strongest point. So I always say that I'm always still learning. There's more that can be done for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. So with because you say you grew up in church and all of that,
Yeah.
what was the deciding factor to basically say, I'm gonna wait until I get married to have sex?
I feel like pretty much with my first relationship, like at 20, I knew already that I was like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for it. And then kind of as time came on, because I'm more into like learning with the female body and everything, I'm like, there's just so much that goes into sex. And, it really is two people coming together. And I've had a lot of body issues about myself. So with that aspect, I was like, having all these other fears around it too, that if maybe I ended up with the wrong person beforehand, maybe I'd be laughed at, or, just I had a lot of feelings around it, more of fear than it would be anything else. So it was like, well, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just trying to go with those kind of feelings. And now it's more so less of the fear, but just knowing that when it is my time, that the right person will be the one, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I find that interesting because you kind of went into a field where you're just learning about sex all the time. What were some of the messages that you were hearing about sex as you were, kind of growing up?
Well, because we were religious, we didn't really talk about it at our house much. I remember when, like, my sex ed lesson was my mom taking me to the library and be like, "Here's a few books, enjoy."
Have you joined the waitlist for my brand new book, Hey God, Can I? This is your go-to ABC guide for married saints. Bring your questions about God, sex, and intimacy. This isn't just a book. It's a resource to help you grow spiritually while strengthening your marriage bed. So if you've ever wondered what God really says about sex and intimacy, this book is for YOU. Tap the link, sign up for the waitlist, and be the first to know when it drops. Don't wait, sis. Get on the list today.
So I was always very fascinated, like interested. And I think with my doula work too, is that I'm very passionate about the human body. So I'm very curious. So I pretty much textbook wise, I think I understand sex pretty good to textbook.
That's good. That's
Um,
good.
but a lot of it has just come from media, right? Like watching movies. Like I said, I'm a very romance movies, and those aren't always the cleanest. So, you are around influence from other people a little bit in that sense, I would say.
Yeah, I understand that. I had a client one time. Listen, she had a daughter who was 12 years old, and her daughter the nurse had called her from school, to let her know that your daughter, she had her cycle or whatnot. But her daughter was crying like crazy, like she was crying uncontrollably. And so they called her because, she had an accident, right? And so, she had never had a conversation with her daughter about her cycle coming on. And so, when I asked her, why did you not have a conversation with her? She said, because I thought that if I never mentioned it, that it would never come.
Oh,
I was like, that is so crazy.
sorry, no, try not to pass judgment. I'm just like, okay, that's more confusion.
It is because so many families, especially those who are faith-based, they're afraid to have these conversations with their children because they're uncomfortable with it maybe, and so, like your mom, it might have been easier for her to just say, here, go read this book. And then, if you have any questions, maybe come and ask me. But they really don't want you to ask them because they don't want to talk about it because it's very uncomfortable,
Well, I feel like I don't remember that clearly, but I feel like I had some understanding because when I got my first cycle, we were at the dentist office. My mom was in the dentist and my grandmother was beside me. So I told her, I'm like, you have to come with me to the bathroom. You have to come with me to the bathroom. So I'm like, I showed her and I was like, I think I knew somewhat what it was. So she had explained it further to me at that moment. And then I feel bad for the dentist lady because she also got known that was my first cycle right then. And and then my mom came down. I'm like, guess what, Mom? Very open, remember? Very open personality. So I feel like I had some understanding, but not to like the greatest degree as where when I read those books and I was learning about the female anatomy and I was learning about everything that followed, I was like, that's when I feel like I knew everything more clearly. Maybe that's why I nerd out so much about female health.
Yeah. So like at what age did you start reading a lot of books and things like that around, women's health and sexual health and all of that? Because
I started when I was 11 because that's when I got my first period. So I was like pretty much the week after, I think she took me to the library and was like, here, these are the books I recommend you read. She came and then I read every single pregnancy book, women's health that library had. And I knew the librarians were very like, I have so many questions on why your daughter's reading all those.
Because I would have questions too. You're so young.
Yeah.
And you're reading books that are very adult for, someone your age, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that it was empowering for you to now understand, the female body or women's health from a different perspective because you have that knowledge around it. And I think that's beautiful.
I really love it. It takes a little quite control of the mind a lot as I'm thinking about stuff and working on it. So I just kind of am going with the faith that it's the way God's leading me. Last year I had a little bit more of a press of like wondering if I should become a midwife. So I'm kind of like leaning on like praying more for that if that is the discernment path that I would lead to, because that would require me to like leave home for quite a bit because I still live with my family. So I'm still like, I don't know if I want to just yet. So I'll have to see how if I keep fighting it or not, or if it's the real plan or whatnot that God's got.
Yeah, yeah. And I definitely understand. So let me ask you, like, what do you feel has been one of the most difficult parts of waiting that, people are not really prepared for?
Whew. um, I feel like for me, it's just that it's the world. You're surrounded with this the maybe it's because of the genre of movie I like. I watch other movies too, I promise, but it's more of this always wondering if you are missing out, maybe. I'm very confident in the feeling that, I'm waiting. I'm a very stubborn person. Like if you fully get to know me, I am stubborn. But I really feel like I'm stuck in my mind on where it went. But sometimes you get these feelings of like I'm missing something,
Hmm.
or I'm wondering if I need to, like what am I missing out on that
Yeah,
everybody's talking is so cool and so that. And I mean, I never had the pressures of school and the system, right? Like the school system really, I think being around peers that are more sexually active than you are, you have to fight it harder. But since
yeah.
I avoided school because I was homeschooled and everything like that, I
Hmm.
think I had a little step up compared to other people that might be surrounded by other girls in their class. They're like, oh, we're hanging out with all these boys and doing all these things. And then
Yeah,
you're like, well, what am I missing out on? As I
yeah,
think people, we always want to try to fit in and like try to, oh, all these people are doing it. So I got to do it too. And it's kind of like got to be part of something to feel
yeah,
like I belong. And I think that's where I've been very blessed to not have all of those peer pressure, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. So you didn't have like a lot of people pressuring you to do
No,
anything, so it made it so much easier. Do you ever regret saying I'm waiting so long?
no, not really.
That's good.
Um, I mean, the only thing I would say that is really hard is the conversation. Sometimes, if you're dating someone that isn't maybe as serious Christian, to tell them, and then you kind of get a past judgment from them, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, then I don't think you're a good fit. And that's really hard because I do have a bit of like a people pleasing tendency. And I'm like, no, with relationships, you're not people pleasing nobody.
Yeah.
You're not, which is really hard. And so to tell people like, yeah, no, I don't like how you responded to that, or,
Yeah.
those I think are the times where you're like, well, that kind of sucks.
That's interesting. So I know you spoke about it earlier that you had a boyfriend. So within that relationship, how was that process and navigating, not, or still honoring your vows that you had made to yourself, being in a relationship?
That was I would say kind of hard and decent at the same time. He grew up in the faith and then he had left as he
Mhm.
got older because he was 4 years older than me at the time. And well, at the time, still 4 years older than me, but he really he had more of a pressure that he wanted to do it. But he also had waited, technically. He and I were both virgins. And so I told him, no, I really want to wait till marriage. And so he respected that. I felt like sometimes that there was a bit of a pressure from him that he kind of was like, oh, we could. And I'm like, yeah, no. I would say because of my stubbornness, I'm very strong-headed enough
Mhm.
that when I saw something that I was like, no, this would make me uncomfortable or this would lead to something else.
Mhm.
Like always staying in a group setting, really, just
Yeah.
always like I think we had like 3 dates alone.
Wow.
And maybe that's weird, but that's I told him is I'd rather us try to do this as possible, like to keep it as
Mhm.
PG, so to
Yeah.
speak. So,
Yeah.
we always were like, he would hang out at our house a lot. And so I have 3 siblings. My parents were around, my grandmother at the same time back
Yeah.
then. So it was just always more family oriented of spending time
Mhm.
together. And out of all the relationships I've had, that was the best one that I would
Yeah.
say that I ever had. Because he really did his best
Mhm.
to like, okay, I respect you. I
Mhm.
understand. And he had to listen to a lot of me sometimes say no to certain things because I'm like, no, I think this is getting too far. This is no.
Yeah. That's beautiful because, a lot of people would have given in to temptation a lot of times. But how long did that relationship last?
We were together for 8 months.
Okay.
And then we had kind of talked 2 months before that. So I always like to say it was roughly a year. Um,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it kind of happened that we ended things because he wasn't wanting to get married as soon as I did. I was like, well, I don't want to date forever. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if you think that I'm the one or you don't, then you have to decide a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we also decided to move. We were going to move cross country pretty much, our
Mhm.
family, to get a homestead. So he didn't like the idea of that, and he didn't want to like move either.
Yeah.
And I totally understood that. So we kind of ended things on pretty much of a mutual agreement that it
Yeah.
just wasn't what the plan was for
Yeah.
us. So,
Yeah. It wasn't the time or the season.
yep,
Um,
exactly. And I did hear from someone of an old acquaintance that he is married now to someone else. So I'm
okay.
hoping that he has the best life, really.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like that soon in the next couple of years.
Yes. Whatever God has got planned for me. At this point, I'm so you can ask my sister. Every other day, it's like, okay, I think we're gonna get married in the next couple years, and then other days, I'm like, and that's it. I'm staying single for the rest of my life.
You gotta weed them out. I have so much sympathy for those who are in the dating scene right now because it's hard out there in these streets. I have friends who are telling me about their stories and they are horror stories. Okay, I'm like, how are y'all surviving out here? Like, I gotta pray for y'all.
I've I we watch a lot of older movies. Like we watch maybe a little too much TV, but we watch a lot of older movies. And my brother always says it. He's like, "Man, it was just so easy in the Pioneer times. They were like, pretty girl, okay, let's get married next week." And he was like, "If you were both decent human beings, you'd be married till you're dead."
That's a big facts, but it's not like that.
No, because I think society, the way it's set up now, we have a lot more differences. Like in the past, there were way more Christians in a community, and people were having like 7, 8 kids, and you're like, well, we've known them forever, so let's put those two together, and
Yeah,
there you go.
and yeah, and it worked,
Yeah,
and it
it worked a lot. I've been volunteering a lot at senior homes, so I've heard a lot of good stories too, even just from the 40s, 50s of when they were getting married. So,
my parents, I think they've been married like 46 or
oh
48
wow, that's
years.
awesome.
But even further than that, before my grandmother passed away, she died the week that they were celebrating their 70th
Oh,
anniversary. They were
wow.
married for 70 years, but she also got married when she was 14. She got
Yeah,
married
that's
at
a little young.
14.
A little young.
And she was back.
Those things we can leave in the past, guys. We'll
I
just
know, we
leave
can leave that
that
in
alone.
the
I mean, I would say like we're very lucky that we have technology that we can communicate to people. Like I've had a few talking points to people from Scotland and like all over the world a little bit. And so I feel like with the internet we have that blessing.
Mhm.
But I think at the same time we lack more communication. Like we have more access to communication, but I think we're lacking more. It's more of just very plain talk. I don't know.
We
I'm
might
like, there's got to be more meaningful conversation than this.
be in the conversations. We're not taking
Yes.
deep dives and getting to know
Yeah.
each other.
Yes. And I mean, so my mother, the way she met my father was she actually put an ad out in the paper. She
Ah,
was looking for a person. She was like, "This is what I'm looking for. Please write back." And she got so many responses, and dad ended up being the one. So it worked. There's
That
just
is
different
so
ways
funny.
you're gonna
That's
go about it.
interesting. She was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot in the paper.
She was like, I think 32 when she put the ad out,
Wow.
33. So she was kind of like, I'm done waiting to she was like, I'm over it now.
That's well, I wasn't looking exactly per se when I met my husband, but I was on like dating websites. And but it wasn't for a husband. It was just I really want to get to know this area, get to know the area, and I'm gonna use this list to I had a list of all the restaurants that I wanted to go to that I didn't want to
Oh,
pay for.
that's smart. That is smart.
And I was like, you can take me here, you can take me here. So I was dating quite a bit.
Okay. Let's try to see everything.
I was dating quite a bit.
Hey friends, quick pause in this lesson because I need to put you onto something that has been blessing so many households. This episode has been sponsored by Covenant Eyes, the accountability app that helps you protect your eyes, your mind, and your marriage. If you're serious about keeping your digital life pure, guarded, and God honoring, Covenant Eyes is a game changer. It helps you to stay accountable online and creates a safe space for your heart and your home. And listen, because you are a part of the Marriage Lab, you get 30 days free when you use my code Marriage Lab. So go ahead, take that step, cover your devices, and cover your covenant.
I met my husband on the dating app, and so he was amongst many that I was communicating with. But I was having conversations, and it was nothing serious. I felt like I didn't want to give myself to one person if they did not show me that they were interested in just me. And so I dated around, and it allowed me the opportunity to get to know people, but also I was learning exactly what it was that I liked. Without having to fully give my heart to someone until they started showing me that they were serious. And so that's how we met. And we got married. He asked me to marry him 2 months in, and 4 months later we got married. So it was very quick. It
Wow.
was very
That's
quick.
awesome.
Mhm.
That is an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that with me.
It was very quick. And
Hey,
we are still
sometimes
together.
if you know. Sometimes there's just that too.
For sure, for sure. But what do you think waiting has taught you in this season?
Patience.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of trying to be taught patience. To kind of realize that it's not always you deciding, like that whole thing about God laughs when we make a plan. Like I'm sure it's just the same way my mother probably was laughing at me when I told her, "Oh, I'm going to get married in my 20s. I'm not going to wait as long as you to have babies." Well, she's probably sitting there looking at me like, "Oh, you're already 25. How's that going for you?" So I think it really is just the patience that has been taught the most.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, you learn to be extremely patient. I mean, for me, it was 10 years. And during that time, there was so much molding that God was doing. But within that, it was also, man, why am I having to wait this long for somebody who, let me tell you, I had a lot of sex before I decided to be abstinent. I had a lot of sex before I decided to, abstain. And my way of abstaining was saying, God, no, I need to submit this part of my life to you, because it was one of the areas that I struggled with. And so during that time, I was like, God, I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting every year. And then it just got better and better because I started surrounding myself with community. I started surrounding myself with, people and going to church more. They started calling me the church rat because I was in church so much, but I was in church a lot because I was like, I need to be here because you don't understand the struggles that I'm having at home, just trying to want to have sex. So do you find ways? I mean, I know you said like you like to watch movies and things like that, but what other things do you do to help you stay focused so that you are not, wanting to or desire? I don't want to say wanting to or desiring, but that's keeping you from not going out there to have sex.
Well, it does help that I live in a very rural community and a lot of the people around me are over, 60 years old. So, just move to the middle of nowhere. I'm sorry, that's a very bad joke. But no, a lot of the people like on the dating apps and stuff, they are more than 2 hours away. A lot of my generation and stuff. So they are further away. So it's more of just the other temptations at home, like with the internet and everything like that. So I try to avoid that. Avoidance is kind of my key. So like I had said, I really try to dive into work stuff. I've been called a workaholic a lot, but I feel like that's just a happy place that I can distract myself from those moments of weakness where you're like, okay, why am I doing this again?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, it doesn't work for everyone to move to the middle of nowhere, but it does help. It does
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
I'm not driving, 2 hours just to get it on. So I don't want to spend the gas money on that.
Right. 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 And so what is dating like? Like when you are dating, do you tell people like, hey, I'm not having sex, or like do you tell people that? Like how does that
Yeah,
work?
I'm pretty open with it up front. I am hoping to find a partner that is part of the faith anyway, so that maybe they're waiting. I'm not gonna lie. The men community, I don't think they're waiting as much as we are. To be honest, no offense if you are listening and you're like, but I am. But no, it's everyone that I've spoken to, they come off like they respect in the beginning. They're like, oh yeah, that's okay. And then later on, they kind of give you more where they feel like, I don't know, there's like hints at it, like push
Yeah.
it, like, oh, if we could go on a day and then you could stay at my house or you could stay over, or I'm like, no, no.
Yeah.
Many
Yeah.
times, no. I can't tell you how many times I have to say no all the time to things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's a lot of just being upfront. I feel like if we're honest to it, like, if they're really against it anyway, if they're not lying, because there's a lot of people that lie in
Hmm.
the dating, is if you find someone that's actually truthful, that really is wanting it anyway, then they'll just tell you that doesn't work for them. Like I've
Yeah.
had many people that are like, oh, I can't wait. So, and then it just doesn't work. And that's exactly what you're trying to do, is you keep away from things that are not going to serve you, I guess, in the
Yeah.
best way.
Yeah. You weed them out.
Yep. And sometimes just being honest, like a lot of my profiles, maybe they're not the best or flashy titles or stuff, but I just explain it like, I'm not looking for, a hookup or anything like that. I'm looking for the one. And that's it. And, you try to put in there a few other details also like, hey, these things, work for you, then you're probably closer to what I'm looking for. So, that already lowers quite a bit of the responses.
Yeah.
Because people will like, I don't know, I use mainly Facebook dating. I've kind of given up on like any of the other ones because it's mainly hookups for the other ones. There is also I'm trying to think of what it's called. I kind of gave up on that one too, but it's like Christian dating for you. It's like a website or something.
Okay.
So there's a few that are out there that you'll find more people then who are less looking for sex and more looking for love kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So I
And
think as long as you're intentional yourself with what you're looking for, then seek and you shall find.
yeah, yeah, seeking you shall find. That reminds me of a TikTok that I watch. It keeps coming on. It's one of them viral TikToks where she's on a date with the guy and he's like, hey, you want to come up and watch a movie? And then she's like, no, I gotta go home. He's like, only for 5 minutes or something like that. And rather than going in her car, she starts running.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I gotta flee. And so she starts running home. Like she'd rather leave her car there because, the Bible says, flee from anything, sexual, whatever. And so it's just really funny to just watch her just keep running from these various scenes because the dating scene, I'm like I said, it's not for the weak. I'm so glad I'm not in it. I'm so glad
It's
I'm not in
a
it.
crazy place to be. But just in that alone, right away, you could see red flag of a lie because who watches a movie for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Sorry, but no movie in the, like we're going back to 2-hour movies. Okay, so if I'm going to come up and watch a movie, then I'm going to be there for another 2 hours, and then I don't get to
Right.
go to sleep before midnight. So no thanks.
Big facts. Big
Go
facts.
to sleep on time. Another cue right there.
Hmm. They'd be like, we can just have some coffee.
Well, benefit. I don't like coffee. You can always come back and throw something else at them.
That's funny. So let me ask you, so in terms of like, because I know you eventually want to get married, like what are like some of the expectations you have around marriage, because you have waited? What are some things that you are looking forward to within marriage?
Honestly, just having someone that you could be really honest with, that's kind of on your team, like your side a little bit. That's like, I guess that's my biggest one. It's kind of just another person that's really on your team that has you in mind, your best interest, and you have their best interest in heart. Um, which, man, I don't even know if it exists at this point. But just really having that other like person to be with, and spend time with. That's kind of always your plus one to things as well. Instead of being like, hey sis, you busy? Hey brother. You just kind of trying to get that other person there to kind of be alongside you for the journey of life. Um, and I guess expectation wise, I mean, my biggest thing is I've kind of given up on thinking that you'll find someone else that is waiting. So I kind of don't have that as like a high requirement just because it is kind of a select. I mean, I've met many on the journey, and then we just didn't click for other reasons. But I have some hope that whatever God has planned, it'll work out the way He wants. Whether He's done it before, or He hasn't. Um, but I'm really just hoping for someone where we actually can agree on things and get along. That's the biggest, really, is the getting along.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's good to have those type of expectations because a lot of times, when we do get married, we carry our past within the marriage, even if we don't think that we are. And, it's very difficult to let go of what we already have experienced. And so when someone has already experienced sex and they are being intimate with their spouses, there's always this comparison or questions or am I doing this or am I doing that? And there's a process of having to let that go. And it's almost like when you get married, the light comes on. So if you were having sex prior to marriage, that light bulb wasn't there because, God is within our experiences, right? But when you get married, He comes into the experiences. And so now He's telling you about what it is that you need to purge and clean. Now He's reminding you and showing you of what you need to do so that you can, sanctify this marriage per se. And so I think that, when you do find someone, they go through their process. They go through their process if they have experienced it or if they have not. And it always ends up being a beautiful experience anyway. And God will always send you the right person who's able to embrace you the way that you are. I know earlier you spoke about, body insecurity and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about that because you said that you're in a better place and that has contributed to some of why you were wanting to wait before. How do you feel now about that?
Well, a lot of my body insecurity has diminished. I would say a lot. I was bullied a lot in grade school before I was homeschooled. And then I've just had, with the internet, the power of the internet, people are keyboard warriors and they say some really unfriendly things towards people that look maybe a little different than the grain of salt. And so I've had a lot more where it's less of, I know God wouldn't say something like that to me. So, as mean as it might sound, I don't care what other people think because they're not as important. And I want to love myself because, you know, God made us all different in our own ways. So trying to come to that place has been really it like you said earlier, it's hard work to do anything that changes like the mindset, things like that. So with that point, it has helped me. I would say that like, oh, I feel better about myself when I am dating. Like I put on a better face, I would say, less than worrying about like, oh, this outfit just doesn't look that good, or I just dress to feel good about myself. Um, and in terms of, I guess, repeat the last piece that maybe I missed the answer of your question.
Well, you kind of answered it already because I
Okay.
was
Okay.
asking, how you feel right now, and you said that you worked through those areas of your life.
Yeah. Trying as much as possible. It's always a very big task to do anything like internal work, I would say is the hardest.
Yeah. And what are some things that you're doing currently today to like stay secure in yourself?
Um, a lot of positive affirmations. I wake up after I say like a prayer and like, well, I'm not, like I said at the beginning, I'm not the best with prayer, so I kind of more of just like good morning. It's very very basic, but from there then it's things to say like for the day. This year's New Year's resolution was to try to be more positive in the day to day. So I try to wake up and say something like positive about myself or about what the day might bring. Like, oh, today I think it was on one of my days that I teach, I had said, oh, today is going to be a great day, even in all like the little things that might annoy me. There will be a positive to it. So like I had a child, she had an accident right in front of our desk. And right away, like my co-teacher and I, we both were thinking, at least it wasn't on the carpet. And that was the positive out of like a negative situation when
Yeah.
accidents occur, but just trying to find those little positive things. So I'm trying to be more of that, like about myself as well. So when those moments come, so now I'm trying to bring it from myself into the day to day to just be a happier person overall.
I love that. I love that. I wrote a book. It's called Hey God, Can I? That is coming out in February. And
Oh, I love
I
it.
wrote something in there. It's called, to help you with, body affirmations and things like that. I have an acronym. It's called GRACE, which is greatness doesn't happen overnight. There is a process. And then the R is for renewing your mind daily, helps you to reset. And the A is for affirmations, helps your mindset to gain control of overwhelming feelings. C is for confidence, is birthed through consistency and self awareness. And E is every little bit counts. So celebrate even the small steps. And you got to affirm the body that you have right now. I wanted to mention that because I know that there are a lot of people who have those issues as it relates to body. And that contributes to the reason why some people are waiting. But not even just that, it trickles into marriage. And so when you begin affirming, because you are in a good space, because now you can fully give yourself to someone without that level of uncomfort because you already comforted in yourself. And I think that's positive because it contributes to having a beautiful, intimate life and an intimate space. So I think that's good.
Thank you. And when I was speaking, because I have a few friends that are similar to myself, in size and have these kind of feelings and such. But sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you also, because you're a little bit heavier, you seek affirmation from other people. And that's how you end up having more relations and such, because you're looking for them to say, oh, yeah, really great things about you, etc. And so that's also a key point as well.
Okay, so we've been on for quite a while. I got a lot of questions answered. Is there any what would you say to a person who is waiting? How would you encourage them?
Lean on God. When you're the most in despair, just kind of lean on God. He's going to be there to help you. He had this plan for us in the original way. So I like to always say that if that's the plan he's got for people, then we gotta try to be good as much as possible. So I really try to tell people to lean on him, and I'm learning too. So it's not don't expect perfect right off the bat. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a beautiful last sentence to give. Lean on God. It sounds simple, but yet it's so powerful. And to my audience, if you are watching this, Elizabeth's story is so beautiful. Waiting is not easy, but she's showing you that it can be done if you use wisdom, if you use strategy, if you surround yourself with people, if you make wise decisions, right? You know how you are, you know how your body desires and yearns. And when you lean on God, just as Elizabeth said, it paves the way for God to strengthen you during that time. Earlier we spoke about worship and all the things that God can do to fill you in those moments. And so, waiting is preparation. And so all you got to do is just lean and the Lord will answer. So is there anything else that you want to say or any questions that I didn't ask you that you would like to answer before we go?
I can't think of anything. I guess the only thing I will say is that, you are strong individuals.
Yeah.
We could do it. We just got to set our mind to it. You got to be more stubborn.
Yeah.
Be stubborn.
Be more stubborn. I like that, because that was one of the questions that I did want to ask you, but I forgot. Because I wanted to know, like, how did you get that strong mentality to be able to be like, say no?
I want to say my grandmother. She was a stubborn woman too. Oh,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think some people are born with it more naturally to be more
Mhm.
stubborn.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it also depends on the people that you spend. Like when I'm with little kids, I've been told I'm walked all over by them, but they're little, so they get leniency. But you're adults. I can
Yeah.
say no to you. You can say no to me. It's just,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to your own personal space,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of guts sometimes. It's not always the most comfortable, but I always tell myself you can do hard things. So
Yeah.
that
Love
quote
that.
can be yours as well.
Yeah, you can do hard things. I love that. I love that. So Elisabeth, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, all of the good things.
I'm all over the internet. Way too much. If you type up my name, you'll find me. I do have my own website for my doula business. It's fruitfulwomb.ca, and that kind of links me to more places. And once you know my full name,
Mhm.
Google will tell you a lot about me.
Okay. Okay. So Google her name.
Yeah, I've done it myself,
Absolutely.
so I know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So guys, I'm gonna link her information in the comments below, because if you have any questions, or probably need support, I'm gonna just put it out there. Or if you want any type of doula, help with your baby and things like that, Elisabeth is the person to go to. And so, on this note, we can end the conversation. And I wanted to say thank you all for tuning in. This has been a beautiful conversation. I love having this conversation with Elisabeth. She has been fantastic. She has given so much information, so valuable, and definitely will enjoy watching this one again. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
This is the space where hearts get free. Learning our bodies, we're holy therapy.